Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel for another true crime Halloween themed video. I just want to make a quick little disclaimer that I am using natural light for this video. So if the lighting changes, I'm using natural light. Anywho, this case is all about trick-or-treating, and as you guys know, trick-or-treating is probably one of the most well-known traditions within the US for Halloween. It can be little kids' favorite part of the holiday, getting all dressed up, rummaging through their candy that they got. And it's just a really fun, cute part of Halloween. And nowadays, you know, as a parent, you can kind of expect to, you know, go through your Halloween candy, or a lot of people only take their kids to their really close family and friends' houses to get candy, or they check every individual piece that they get. And that's pretty common practice nowadays. But back in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was kind of a, you know, just like a trust you had with your neighbors that they weren't gonna like put anything in your Halloween candy. Like, why would you do that? In 1974, in a town called Pasadena, Texas, which I believe is right around Houston, in 1974, this all kind of changed for that town. Ronald Clark O'Bryan and his wife Dana had two children, Timmy, who was 8 at the time, and their daughter Elizabeth, who was 5, and they started off their Halloween night having a fun little family dinner with another family, Jim Bates, his wife, and then their 2 children, who were both right around Ronald and Dana's children's ages. So after the dinner, Ronald and Jim took both of Ronald's children, Timothy and Elizabeth, and Jim's son, whose name is not given anywhere, trick-or-treating. They were just going, you know, up and down the block, and they came upon this one house that's lights were off. Now, it's kind of like a known thing, like, if the lights are off in a house on Halloween, like, they're not giving you candy, they're either not there, or they're hiding and they're not giving you candy. It's just kind of, you know, like, the code. And they all went up to the house, knocked on the door, nobody responded, so the kids, you know, went on to the next house, and so did the dad, Jim. But Ronald was convinced that he was going to get candy from the people who lived here. So then he came back and rejoined the group and presented 5 of these 22-inch pixie sticks and said that the people from the house had given him this candy. If you're not familiar with pixie stick, it's basically just like a little paper tube that has sugar in it. That's pretty much all it is. So he gave 1 to each of his children, 1 to Jim's son, 1 to Jim's daughter when they got home, and then 1 to another little boy who went to church with them. So eventually both of the families returned home. The Bates, you know, said their goodbyes and left, and, you know, Timothy and Elizabeth were ready to like crawl into that candy. They were, you know, it's the best part, going home and digging through your candy, sorting it out, you know, trading it. And they were told that they got to pick, you know, 1 piece to eat before they could go to bed. So Timothy picked this pixie stick, and he actually could not get it open because it was stapled shut, which is just such a big red flag. If a candy is tampered with, if it looks like it's been previously opened, if it looks like it's homemade, you know, you don't really want to be giving that to your kid. However, Ronald opened it for him, and Timothy proceeded to eat the pixie stick, and he immediately said, you know, this tastes bitter, it doesn't taste right, blah 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 blah. And Ronald gave him a glass of Kool-Aid to wash it down with and was like, you know, it probably just went bad. But immediately after that, Timothy was complaining of a stomach ache. He started throwing up. And within less than an hour of Timothy eating this pixie stick, Timothy had passed away. The autopsy report showed that his body was full of cyanide. He had enough cyanide in his system to kill 3 grown adults. So obviously after Timothy had passed away, this created a massive panic within the town. People were freaking out, digging through their kids' candy, opening all their candy, throwing it all away, which is honestly personally what I think I would have done. Better be safe than sorry. I'm not risking that one for the biscuit. But they obviously did know that the pixie stick was the culprit because that was the only thing that Timothy had consumed that night. So the police's 2 top priorities were to go find the man who lived in the house that Ronald said he got the pixie sticks from, and find the other 4 pixie sticks. So they retrieved Elizabeth's and both of the Bates' children's pixie sticks before any of them had eaten them, but they could not find the other child who Ronald had given one to. I don't really know how he would have forgotten who he would have given one to. He apparently went to church with them, but he did. And they did eventually find this little boy, and his parents actually found him in his bedroom, asleep on his bed, with the pixie stick on top of his chest. And he had not eaten it. He actually could not get the staple out of it, and he ended up falling asleep and just giving up, which, I mean, thank God. That kid is so incredibly lucky. So thankfully none of the other 4 pixie sticks caused any damage. So then the police obviously went to find the man who lived in this, dark, shadowy house that gave out these pixie sticks, and they arrested him at his work in front of all of his coworkers, took him into the police station, and found out that he had an absolute airtight alibi. He had been at work the entire night. Witnesses, cameras, the whole shebang. There was no way he did it. So the police's next suspect, as you can probably guess, was Ronald. Now, Ronald was already showing a lot of odd behavior. He had said at Timothy's funeral that he was going to use the insurance money that he had on Timothy to go on a vacation, to mourn. His overall behavior was just very, very odd, and it was striking a lot of people odd. And it's very hard to tell. Obviously, people grieve in different ways, so it's not quite something that you can, pinpoint if it makes you guilty or not. But the police were really, really looking into Ronald, and they started digging into his past. They had actually found out that he was in over $100,000 of debt. They were about to lose their home and right on the verge of losing their car. Within the span of the last year, he had actually taken $60,000 of life insurance policies out on both of his children. He had taken out, I believe, $10,000 in January, $20,000 later in the year, I believe another $10,000 in October, and then I believe another $20,000 the week of Halloween. So after that, he was arrested for the murder of Timothy. Okay, I am very, very sorry. I am trying to do something about this lighting, but it is just not working out for me, obviously, but we are just going to, push through it. Back to the trial. Multiple witnesses had said that Ronald had been asking questions about cyanide, how much it takes to kill a person, how much you can buy of it, strands of cyanide are the most lethal, and then again, witnesses had said about him using the insurance money for a vacation, that he had been saying about that at Timmy's funeral. I am so sorry for the lighting, you guys. And basically the only story that the defense had was that it was this mysterious boogeyman who had given him these pixie sticks. So the jury ended up only deliberating for 46 minutes, and for a capital case, that is an insane amount of time. Juries will deliberate for days. I mean, if you hear that a jury deliberates for like 9 hours, that's honestly a short amount of time. So the fact that they didn't even deliberate for an hour is insane. He was sentenced to death, and he did appeal this. He has been claiming his innocence this entire time. It actually did go through, so it got his date pushed back. The judge for his case was so upset about it that he actually said for his next date he would drive him to the execution himself. However, the Supreme Court actually got involved, so it pushed the date back again, and all these appeals had ended up pushing this date back 10 years. So then finally on March 31st of 1984, Ronald had eaten his last meal of a steak, french fries, peas, and Boston cream pie, and was executed by lethal injection. Hundreds of people showed up to this execution. People were dressed up in Halloween masks. People were screaming trick or treat as he was getting the injection. And this was actually a huge, huge case in Texas at this time, because it was one of the first ever lethal injection cases in Texas, and I believe in the entire country. So it was a huge case, and it was honestly highly debated. So if you guys are familiar with my videos, you probably know that I'm not like the biggest supporter of the death penalty. However, I don't think Ronald really got anything less than he deserved. Just the absolute savage that you have to be willing to kill your own children for money is insane. and not even kill your own children, but killed like your friends' kids, random kids who go to your church. And he was originally disappointed with how much cyanide he could get, because you legally can't buy very much because it's lethal, and he wanted to get way more than that. And obviously he was not taking any chances on whether or not these kids were going to die, because he put in enough to kill 3 adults, which is just insane to me. So let me know what you guys think of this case and the result of it. Make sure you stick around and subscribe for tomorrow's video, and thank you guys so much for watching. And again, I really apologize for just the atrocious lighting throughout this entire video. But I will see you all tomorrow. I hope you're having a great week, and happy Halloween!